It's been really interesting just to see these TikTok videos where teachers have been talking about parents, teachers have been talking about the students, and how just everything has changed over the years. And it really has got me thinking about a number of things. I know for me personally, when I was growing up, things were a lot different then than it is right now. Now, I can speak only to my own personal experience where we actually didn't really have much in terms of guidance from our parents. And when I talk about this, I really mean in the case of education. Now, yes, they guided us in a number of different other ways as well too. But when it came to education, what I remember is I would be going to school, I would come home, and I would do my homework. My parents might say, hey, do you have homework? But the reality is that I knew that I had homework, and then the teacher would hold us accountable. So this is something that I'm seeing. It seems to be a little bit different these days where, number one, homework isn't going home at all. But also, if there is some level of homework that's going home, there's no accountability for it. And that's from the parent side, of course. I'm seeing this with parents. Now, that's not all parents. Some parents definitely do kind of hold accountability for their kids, but also on the teacher side, I'm seeing the same thing. And so there's something happening here that's a little bit different than it used to be. And I really can't really put my finger on it. And again, always curious on your thoughts to see what that looks like. But it allowed me to really think about what did my childhood really look like? And so myself personally, when I was going through school, when I was in elementary school, I was a reasonable student. So I was doing, I had pretty reasonable grades going throughout elementary school. It got a little bit sticky when it got to high school, trying to figure out what I was looking to do. But the main thing was that I remember grade 1, I was getting homework. We were doing math homework. We would get math worksheets. We would be racing to see who was the fastest person to finish the actual work in the classes. So a lot of that has changed now because I know as well, because I run a program, I write some books and we work with one-on-one with students, right? And what I'm seeing is that these kids, they're not coming home with any work. It doesn't matter if they're grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, grade 4, it doesn't matter. We're even seeing it happening even up throughout high school. And now what's the reason for this? I mean, some teachers may say that it could be because of AI, right? And I know that this is the case as well, where let's say you have an English teacher or you have English classes and you need to complete an assignment as an example. Well, it's a bit tough to complete an assignment reasonably, or at least with a reasonable level of confidence that the student isn't actually cheating. You'd have to do it in the class. So I can kind of understand that if you're doing a religion class or a French class or something like that, right? Understood. Though, if we're doing math, we need to practice. And I think this is something that's really changed, and it's not the teacher's fault. I don't even know if it's the administration's fault, and I don't think I can blame the parents either. I'm still trying to figure out exactly what that looks like. Again, always curious on your input. Please leave the comments below as well too. Where is this an issue? Where is this issue coming from? Where's the source from this? So when it comes to doing this work, the reality is that you have to practice. Now, I played music for quite a few years of my life as well too. And if I didn't practice, then I wouldn't be able to perform or play or anything like that. It's the same thing when it comes to education is what I'm finding. Is that if you're not practicing these math equations, and some people may argue, okay, do I need algebra in my life? Well, maybe, maybe not. But the skill set that it gives you is always going to be valuable. And this will also be a hot topic, I'm sure, as well. So leave the comments as well. Being able to understand how a process works, this will be valuable regardless. So if we're practicing addition and subtraction, if we're practicing reading, if we're practicing algebra, whatever it is, we need to be able to say that there's something that we're moving towards, whether it's a test, right? And apparently some of these words we also can't use anymore, like test and assessment and all of these things, right? We have to be very careful with our verbiage and terminology these days, right? And if you're an educator out there as well, leave a comment and let me know if, again, you're seeing some of this as well in your classroom, right? So things have really changed from when I was younger because, again, homework was very important. If we didn't do our homework, then we'd lose marks. If we didn't do our homework, then we'd probably do poorly on the test, unless you were one of those students that just was able to just go home, not study, and then come back and do the test, right? I know with my kids personally, I've kind of prepped them for school in general. With my kids, what we do and what we've done is, again, they've been doing long division since they were 3. And this is on purpose because we said, hey, you know what? Why don't we make sure that our kids are actually able to do the work before they get to school, so that if the case, or in the case that when you're in school, you don't necessarily have maybe your favorite teacher, right? Or you're not getting homework, or maybe the curriculum isn't really being completed in the classroom because there are so many behavioral kids in the classroom. Well, at least you still have the skill set, right? At least you know what to do so that you're not just left back or left behind for that year when going into the future years, right? So these are the things that I found that I've had to kind of prep for my kids. And I know that I didn't get that preparation when I was younger, though I also didn't really have that many issues going into the classroom and doing the work that was required. So not sure what's changing now these days. I'm not sure why it looks the way that it looks, but I'm sure that it's very tiring for the teachers. No question about it. And I feel for teachers. I will always say that I feel for teachers. For the parents as well. Listen, this is tough as parents. We're out here. We're just trying to buy groceries. We're just trying to raise our kids. And then COVID hits and we need to also take on the education. So it's been tough in that respect to see, and I understand it, though we're kind of out of that phase right now. Not sure what the excuse is these days for the parents, aside from, of course, yes, we need to work 2 or 3 jobs in order to just try to keep the lights on effectively. Another piece that we don't really take into enough consideration is the fact that we are in a social media age. And some people talk about it, some people kind of brush it off. But I know for myself personally, I don't brush this off. When it comes to my kids, we're kind of away from social media for the most part. Yes, I post videos. I actually post videos of my kids as well, and some people may like this, they may not like this, whatever that looks like. We have another channel for that as well at JonAyves TV. Check it out when you can, right? And so when it comes to the social media side, keeping the kids off of social media, whether you decide to do this or not, I think that it's important to actually monitor what they're doing and what they're watching. Why? Because what they're watching, they take directly into the classroom. They take directly into their daily lives. They bring it into conversations at home. I've seen it, and it happens to us as well too. And it's not necessarily even from a social media standpoint. I would say that it's reasonably common sense to think of it that way, that if you're consuming something, then it's going to be a part of you and you're going to end up talking about it. So when it comes to the actual kids themselves, well, we should probably monitor them, right? And that's kind of why we don't really push them in that social media direction, because we see what's out there. Right? There's a lot that's happening on YouTube Shorts, TikTok, all of these things that just pop up randomly. And then what ends up happening is you end up in this rabbit hole where you're going down this direction that you weren't even expecting. This happens to adults. It happens to teenagers. And it's also happening to these little 5-year-olds that have phones, which, of course, another part of discussion. My kids personally don't have phones. My daughter is probably of the age to have a phone, but it's just not really required for us in our household. However anyone does it, not really my responsibility, or I don't really have an opinion on that necessarily. Though I would think that it's important, at least from my perspective, to just kind of be careful with what they're consuming. Because again, we see what's happening. We see the disrespect that's happening within the classroom. We see the disrespect that's happening, whether it's through Twitch streamers or it's just online in general, other platforms, in the gaming sphere as well too. There's a lot that's happening that just kind of gets bypassed when the headphones are on the kids' ears and they're just taking it in, they're soaking it all in, and the parents have no idea what's happening. Whether it's on Roblox or it's on Call of Duty or whatever gaming platform it is, it becomes a big issue. Or if you're looking on Snapchat or any of these platforms. So it is a bit tough, and it's tough for the parents, and there's a lot to take into consideration. So I absolutely feel for the parents, and it's tough when I go on TikTok and I see that the teachers are just constantly talking about the parenting, and I see that millennials are just kind of sitting back and actually also talking about those parents as well too, so negatively, where I do have to agree with some of the points that that's what we're seeing, though what's the root cause? And I think that's kind of partly why I started this channel in the first place in these videos, is I want to find the root cause. I talk to probably around 100 parents a week, which, thinking about that number, is actually pretty wild for me, but it happens a lot, and I get to speak a lot to a lot of families, to a lot of parents, just to see what's going on when I look to bring them into our program. So I hear it all. I hear all of it from the parent perspective. I love hearing this from the teacher perspective as well, from these TikToks and from teachers as well in the comments. So I'm becoming a little more well-rounded in what is happening from the teacher side, from the parent side, and really from the kids side too, because they're seeing it from a whole different perspective. I can see that from my kids. So curious more so on your thoughts. Would love to kind of continue discussion. And again, I can't thank you enough for everyone being here. I really love that you're all enjoying this sort of format as well too. So I'll likely be doing more of this, but I'll see you in the next video.